Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is part 1 of 2 of What If Deku was God of the Sea. If you enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Make sure to check the links in the description for like the Discord, for the membership and stuff like that. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. The story starts with not Izuku Midoriya, but with Inko Midoriya at the edge of the sea. She is standing there, sand beneath her feet, and all she yearns for is one thing, and that is a child. She wants somebody that she can love, she can inspire, she can build up, and make to be a better person than anybody else has ever seen. On top of that, and including her own ex-husband. Her own ex-husband was a piece of garbage, completely trash, and honestly, she is glad to be away from him. But there's one thing that she wanted and couldn't have with such a terrible person, and that was a child. And before you know it, her wishes would be answered when the sea would listen to her cries. As the tears from her eyes would drop to the ground and flow through the sea once again, the sea would hear her and hear her loud and clear. As a giant wave would begin to form across from her, as it barrels toward her, threatening to slam and destroy some things in front of her, she's confused. Where did it come from? How did this happen? How would this thing form so quickly? And she's unable to react. But before you know it, the wave, this giant wave that is tens of feet high, maybe even 20 feet, maybe even 30, 40, 50 feet high, she would look at it and it would stop straight at the shoreline and it would collapse backwards on itself. And as this would occur, the water would slowly reach her feet and a child would be right there floating. A child that has green hair and a child that would look very similar, eerily similar to her as well. A boy, a young boy that she would pick up and deem Izuku Midoriya. And she would take this boy and treat him with the utmost respect, love, attention, and everything you can think of, because she would think that this was a blessing from the sea itself. But what she doesn't know is that she is currently treating and taking care of the actual god of sea, or god of the sea himself. And that right there is something she couldn't imagine and can't imagine. But soon she would realize some tendencies when he's younger, around 5, maybe 6 years old, where all he wants to do is be around the water. All he wants to do is go diving in head first and just swim around forever. It seems like his happiest is when he is in the water, and it seems like he only wants to be within the water as well. But of course, she can't just allow him to do that all the time. But she tries her best to kind of, be good about it and help him out and, be around the water from time to time. Even getting to the point where they actually end up deciding to move a little bit closer to the water. And that would help him, honestly, quite a bit with channeling his own powers. Because when he starts being around the water just a little bit more, out of nowhere, he starts showing these kind of insane powers that allow him to control the water, powers that allow him to even utilize and move around fish and control and speak to fish as well. And she's shocked by this, completely shocked. And this would even lead to him kind of creating a fish-like kind of business in a way, where they would actually sell off the freshest of fish. And you might think this is odd. This is kind of, he's killing them. This is not good. But Izuku actually sees this as kind of helping the entire fish ecosystem. Not every single fish needs to thrive. Him being there, him being within the water 24/7, allowed everything to thrive to the point where they started really fending for themselves or fending off each other to try and survive. They have limited things within the water. And honestly, him doing this and him actually approaching things this way and making this kind of fish-like company where he sells a ton of fish, and a fish-like shop that would sell, freshwater or fresh fish, would actually help the ecosystem as well. And all of the wildlife and all of the sea creatures would actually understand this. And throughout the years, Zuko would make quite a bit of money, and also would help his mother quite a bit. But throughout this time, he also is wanting to be a hero, wanting to push himself in a different direction. And that other direction is to be a hero. He wants to be a hero. At a young age, he talked about it and seen so many different heroes doing so many different things. And he told his mother, told Inko Midoriya, that he can do it. He has so much control. He has so much power. He knows that he can do it. He knows that he can save lives, and he knows that he can do so many amazing things. He just needs the opportunity. He just needs the chance, and he can prove it. Prove it to him, or like himself, prove it to her, prove it to other people, prove it to everything. And he knows he can do it. And he asks her if he can basically start going in that direction. And she says, of course we can, right? Of course we can do that. We have plenty of money set aside. We can focus on you becoming a hero and focus on the powers that you have within. And that's what they start doing for the next 3 to 4 years. Focusing on his powers. Yes, he's going to school. Yes, he's doing various other things as well. But he is focusing on his powers, how he can get stronger, how he can get better, how he can control things a lot more. And it allows him to create a sense of him being able to utilize the water itself as a power as well. And he already has this kind of already crazy built-in strength. His abilities, his physical ability is already pretty good. And the more time he spends within the water, it seems to get stronger and stronger. And as this time would go on, and eventually middle school would end, he would finally get his opportunity to test out his powers. Now, this opportunity is a little bit different than you would expect, but the opportunity would ensue with him fighting against a villain, a sludge villain. And this would be the first villain Izuku would actually face off with, but it's not going to be anywhere near the last. But Izuku faces off with this sludge villain, and he makes quick work of this villain. And it's all because of the liquid, or kind of like the fluids that are flooding through the sludge villain himself. Just a tiny bit of the sea, a tiny bit of the liquid, and it allowed for Izuku to halt the sludge villain, allowing the eventual hero to arrive, and that hero obviously being the one and only All Might. All Might would land one singular punch, one Detroit smash, and obliterate the sludge villain. The sludge villain would be in pieces, and before you know it, All Might would be asking Izuku what exactly he was able to do, and why or how was he able to do it. And Izuku explains. He briefly explains his powers, or at least what he can do for the moment. And it's a interesting conversation because, let's be honest, All Might's like, I have no clue where to even think about this. How are you able to do it? What's going on? I don't get it, right? At all. But at the same time, it makes some decent sense. And it's pretty damn cool when you put it into perspective that he's able to do certain things the way he's doing them. I mean, halting the sludge villain, I mean, that's no joke. He's definitely no joke in terms of a villain, and no joke by any means at all. But with that said, he's gonna have to be leaving now because, the whole, All Might's running out of time type of thing, and Izuku kind of just allows him to leave. He's not going to jump on him and ask him a bunch more questions, because Izuku already has his thoughts in sight, already knows what he wants to do, and that is to go to UA. And that's exactly what he trains for over the next 10 months, training his absolute ass off to make sure that he was strong enough and he has full capabilities to do so. And frankly, he didn't even really need a ton of this training, but it allows him and kind of helps him understand what he should be doing in terms of, actually figuring out what's going on, and also how he should be utilizing his new powers. He doesn't exactly know all of his strengths and weaknesses, and how he's going to use his powers outside of like the sea itself, because obviously he has full capabilities in terms of being within the water or within the sea, but in terms of anything else, I mean, he's not 100% sure. Like yes, he does. He's pretty strong, and he's like prepared this part of, or this aspect of his power, and he has tried things out in the past. Like he's trained as well to an extent, but not to the degree that he is over the next 10 months. And eventually he does get a really, really good grasp on his just natural ability and natural strength, but he still wants to find out how to weave in his kind of powers, right? His powers that he knows he can utilize outside of the water. But going to, or the UA entrance exam isn't necessarily going to help him with that, but it is going to help him show off his capabilities. And his capabilities in terms of physical strength are nothing to really nod at, nothing to like overlook, because Izuku absolutely obliterates robots, destroying them, and even saving a young girl that is similar to his age, obviously, being that of Ochaku Uraka, saving her from being hurt as well. And oh my goodness, the show of ability Izuku is able to do is pretty insane. And everybody looks, or the teachers that are watching, they look to see what his quirk is. What is he doing? What can he do? And they realize, like, wait, he doesn't have like a strength or a superpower, super strength quirk. No, it's a water-based quirk. And they're confused, like, wait, how? Like, this makes no sense. How does this make any sense at all? But he's showing off capabilities that all are just full physical capabilities. That's literally all he's doing right now. But the thing is, he just isn't in his proper environment. And it's not like he carries water with him, and he definitely could, because it would help him to a certain degree. But it's not what he's doing really right now. But at the same time, you know, he's doing what he possibly can in different scenarios. And eventually it would be time for him to, you know, get that opportunity to get into UA. And obviously he is immediately one of the higher level heroes and one of the higher level people that are going to be allowed into UA. And it's pretty obvious that his capabilities alone put him at a pretty good stance and a pretty good advantage. And everyone is kind of getting to know each other when they enter UA. And Izuku being, you know, one of those top 5 students, I mean, people start definitely attracting to him, especially after everybody gets to see what everyone is capable of in the quirk assessment test that is headed up by Shota Aizawa. And Aizawa basically tells them all, like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is what's going to happen. It's a quirk assessment, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're going to do all this, this, and that. And whoever gets the lowest score is going to be expelled. And obviously, it's a little bit of a trick, but at the same time, they got to do their absolute best. And that's exactly what a lot of these kids are going to do. A lot of these students are going to do. And Izuku, he shows off his physical capabilities. But there's one thing that Aizawa wants to see, and what he could do, and see what he could do when involving water itself. And that's exactly what occurs. I mean, he immediately would give Izuku some sort of water, like kind of like area, like an area that has some sort of water. Not a ton of water, don't get me wrong, it's not like a giant lake or anything, but some sort of water. And in doing so, Izuku's abilities are ridiculous. Like, he is throwing the ball around, tossing into the sky, doing this, doing that, doing some insane things. And his speed, his strength, his agility, everything seems to be up tenfold. Like, it is ridiculous what he can do. And Izuku says that he can do so much more, but it doesn't really apply to a quirk assessment test that is all based on, you know, physical ability and stuff like that. And Aizawa's thinking, like, wait, you meaning you can do more? Like, that is pretty ridiculous to think about. But at the same time, I mean, it's pretty damn impressive. And obviously they push forward through the quirk assessment. They finish up the quirk assessment, and eventually all the students kind of get that opportunity to show what they can do, what they're capable of. And unfortunately, Izuku obviously doesn't get, fortunately, he doesn't get expelled. And everyone else that, or the lowest person, they do get expelled, but Obviously, they get back the very next day, and there's a whole conversation about that, and yada, yada, yada. But with that said, Izuku would then have a chance at his next training session, which would actually be with the one and only All Might himself, or at least with the group of his, his classmates in Class 1A, but also with All Might himself. And that would involve the actual act of, legitimately training as a heroes versus villains like scenario. And it's a pretty interesting scenario, nothing too complex, but Izuku and Ochako would be on one team, the hero team, and obviously Bakugo and Tenya would be on the villain team. And their whole job is to protect the bomb, where Izuku's job, or Izuku and well, obviously Ochako or Raka, their job is to touch the bomb, basically defusing it. And in doing so, Izuku shows pretty much where he's at in terms of capabilities, because when he fights Bakugo, who is storming down the staircase as quick as he possibly can, when they fight and they clash, it's pretty obvious who has the upper hand. Izuku Midoriya shows that the upper hand isn't even close, and frankly, it's not close in terms of physical and ability or capabilities. And Bakugo is sitting there like, what is this? Like, I don't ever remember Izuku talking about being this powerful. I don't ever remember Izuku being this strong. And that's the thing. Izuku isn't the type of person to go out of his way to build himself up and be like, yeah, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. No. Izuku's not that type of person. He's very calm, he's cool, he's collected. He's not going to go out of his way and make everyone think like, or try to convince everyone like, oh yeah, I'm the best, and you should think that I'm the best, and blah 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 blah. He doesn't do that. Like, that's not his thing, and he makes that very clear. But in all honesty, it's insane. It's insane what Izuku is able to do, and it's insane to think that his abilities is that much higher than Katsuki Bakugo. It's flat out not really close, and he's able to defeat Bakugo and help Ochako actually collect the bomb, so that they're easily able to handle the scenario and handle what was going on. And obviously they touch the bomb, and they're able to kind of get to the next portion of what they've been working on, and they touch the bomb, they win, and they are deemed like, okay, yeah, this team has won. The hero team has won. And obviously All Might does a little bit of an analysis on what they were capable of doing, what they did do, and all that stuff. And yeah, at the end of the day, there's not much to talk about in terms of what Izuku did. Izuku was fully capable and did very, very well. Same thing with Ochako. But a lot to talk about in terms of Tenya, Ida, and Bakugo not working together the way they really should have been. But at the same time, it's not like you can tell much to Bakugo, where Bakugo, he's not the teamwork type, right? He's not the biggest fan of doing stuff like that. But at the end of the day, their team won, and it would basically push them into watching the other teams or the other kind of students do their heroes versus villains training. And eventually Izuku and everybody else would head home, and their next big training session would involve a rescue facility. But this rescue facility, well, they would have no idea it would be invaded by actual villains. Yes, actual villains. And these villains would come surging in. These villains, known as the League of Villains, would want one thing and one thing only, and that is the death of All Might. But what they didn't know, and the biggest mistake that they could possibly make, and something they had no idea, no clue that they would be making it, is the fact that they would legitimately put Izuku Midoriya, someone whose power is extremely, extremely high, in water itself, and they put him in the worst spot they possibly could, in an actual lake-like area. And when they do that, everything shifts, because the villains that are underneath that water, the villains that are very fish-like, well, let's just say Izuku starts speaking to them telepathically, and telling them that they don't have to be the villains that they are right now. They can be better. They can help. They can do this. They can do that. And in doing so, everything changes. Everything. And even Asui can hear the voice of Izuku Midoriya and dives down underneath the water and questions him just a little bit, actually being able to talk to him as well through her mind. And she asks, like, what's going on? How is he doing it? And he says that he doesn't exactly know, but all he knows is that the water itself feels like home. And this is exactly when a giant wave from the water that is within this lake-like area would begin surging out, crashing and smashing all of these villains that are all around the USJ. And everybody is in shock to see all this water kind of like only hit the actual villains, like literally only hit the villains. It doesn't actually hit anyone else or any of their, the students or anyone like that. It only hits the villains. And everyone's in shock by this. But Izuku, he's not at all. And there's also fish-like villains that begin to fight, helping out, clear out the rest of the villains, help out with the Nomu, help out trying to capture Shigaraki. And on top of that, when Shigaraki goes to attack Asui, it seems that Asui is able to react to it and even utilize her own quirk and her own powers to a higher level of degree than she ever has before. And Izuku, well, he steps out into the field ready, prepared, and fully available to take down every villain or help take down every villain that needs to be taken down. And let's just say this was one hell of a fight, because Izuku Midoriya clears out a ton of these villains, like the mass majority of them, helping out Aizawa massively and helping out as many people as possible and as many students as possible as he can. And when they clear out, when these villains are gone and cooked and absolutely out of it, all that's left is Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and the Nomu. And all the other students are converging back on this same location. And frankly, this is when eventually All Might would arrive, and with the help of all of the students, with Aizawa being healthy and capable, not, massively injured, Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and the Nomu would be captured without a ton of trouble. But, the Nomu's still no joke, but wouldn't be as much trouble as it normally would be. And eventually they would try to escape, but with the help of the extra, villains that were turned good by literally Izuku turning them good because of the fish DNA, it seems as if it makes it that much more difficult for them to kind of get an opening to actually be in a situation and be in a circumstance where they're not going to be, overwhelmed, not going to be put in a bad position and stuff like that. And they're easily able to handle kind of getting rid of and also kind of helping out with, destroying all of these villains, getting these villains completely out of here as quick as possible. And obviously with Shigaraki being put on the ground and in cuffs before you know it, this whole League of Villains stunt was stopped very quickly. And the reason why is because of the lack of knowledge that they had on Izuku Midoriya. They didn't know that if they sent him to the water, that this all could happen. They didn't know that since they sent Izuku into a spot where he is fully capable and his powers surge even greater within it, they didn't know that it would make it that much more difficult. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what occurred. It made it that much more difficult. And everybody is realizing quickly, especially the villains, that Izuku Midoriya is nothing to be messed with, and Izuku Midoriya is no freaking joke. And at the end of the day, this is somebody, especially by the students, that is going to be your biggest competitor as well. And the students know that too, just as much because the UA Sports Festival is on its way, but luckily enough, there's not a ton of water they're going to have to deal with. So they're going to get a lot weaker version of Izuku Midoriya. Now, even though this is true, he's fully capable. I mean, he has abilities that allow him to do some pretty amazing things in terms of physical capabilities. And if he really stays in the water for like a good amount of time until the time to legitimately, fight, and the time to legitimately, actually fight against his classmates, aka the UA Sports Festival, then he's going to have a lot better of a time and a bigger advantage with the water that seeps through him. And he makes sure to do this over the course of a couple days until the UA Sports Festival. And eventually the UA Sports Festival would arrive, and that UA Sports Festival would be his chance to show off. And that's exactly what he does, legitimately showing off and showing that he is fully capable, even though he doesn't have, your typical kind of position, aka, like he's not always around the water, because that's a lot of water-based heroes, a lot of water-based this or that. It's not amazing, and it's not easy for them unless they are around water. But Izuku shows that he doesn't necessarily need it to at least be capable and at least get the job done to an extent. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's getting the job done to an extent, and he's able to do quite a bit in terms of the UA Sports Festival. He actually would get a pretty high placement in the obstacle course race, obviously being the beginning of the UA Sports Festival. But that's not the only thing that is going to have to be worried about. It's not the only thing that is going to have to be talked about and stuff like that. And we obviously know that there's some things that are going to have to happen. And Izuku obviously takes this pretty good space, or this kind of placement of the obstacle course race, and then kind of continues that space to the cavalry battle, where he teams up with Ochako, Tokiyami, Meihatsume, and they do pretty damn well all together, maintaining their points and even gaining some more with the physical abilities of Izuku mainly. And honestly, just having Tokiyami allows them to really keep up with Dark Shadow's help, and also with Izuku's physical capabilities. He kind of just does his thing with keeping people at bay and making sure that they can tank hits, or allow themselves to not get absolutely overwhelmed by some sort of power. But obviously they are overall not in a bad spot, overall in a good spot. And Izuku and his teammates obviously push to the next round, which the next round would be the one that a lot of people would be looking at. You're talking about getting offers, you're talking about getting chances. If you're talking about getting opportunities, you want to be looking at this opportunity, this one specific one, when you are legitimately facing off with the people, the students that are in front of you. This is the one to show where you are levels above them all. And Izuku Midoriya's first person he goes against is Hitoshi Shinso. But unfortunately, Izuku would get caught with his mind control and would get eliminated. And the reason why he would get eliminated is because he'd have no way to really get out of it. Yes, normally he is calm, he's cool, he's collected, but one thing, all that needs to happen is have one thing slip him up, and that's what happens. One singular thing slips him up, and there it is. Izuku Midoriya is off his kilter, and he's unable to actually, keep his head on straight, and he responds to Shinso, catching himself off guard, and Hitoshi Shinso is able to actually defeat him, and Hitoshi Shinso is able to stop him in his tracks. And this little hype train of, the so-called sea god, or whatever you want to call him, just stops right there. But nobody really is upset about this. A lot of people that were watching, they're pretty impressed by what Izuku was able to do. But at the same time, obviously, it's not exactly what they wanted to see. They wanted to see Izuku go all the way. They wanted to see Izuku Midoriya do some insane things. But even Izuku understands that he made a mistake he won't make again. But also, it's all scenario based. If they were all next to water, yeah, he would be a lot stronger. Now, does it matter in this scenario? No, because it doesn't matter in a regular hero scenario. And Izuku knows that. He understands that, and he gets it. but he also understands that he needs to find better and different ways to really approach being a hero. And Hitoshi Shinso allowed him to truly see that, allowed him to really understand that. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to continue pushing forward and continue trying to put himself in a position where he knows he can be the hero that he is destined to be. And frankly, to start with, it is obviously his chance to work with one of the pro heroes that he doesn't know a ton about, or a pro hero that is at a high level. So he checks who he got offers from and who he possibly could work with. And the one person that he saw and really understands and realizes like, whoa, this is a big deal, is a top hero, a top 15 hero in Gang Orca. Gang Orca being that he is pretty involved in, well, like, you know, a sea, like he's like a sea-like creature. So to Izuku, he's like, wait, this is awesome. This is amazing. And he even speaks with the, you know, with Gang Orca, not him specifically, but somebody who works with him. And he tries to actually get someone, well, in his own class to also go with him as well, being that of Asui, believing that he feels this odd, weird kind of thing that he believes that him being around Asui actually will make both of them stronger. Well, more specifically her as well, but really make her stronger. But it's gonna be, he needs to be around her more. He needs to be working and training, and they need to be around each other to really do this. And after some conversating, they do eventually get Asui that chance. And obviously it's up to her at the end of the day if she wants to join him. And she decides that, you know what, she's going to do that, believing that, you know, there is a good opportunity here to be, you know, to really to take seriously. And of course, Izuku is happy that she accepts, and it would be their opportunity to train with the one and only Gang Orca to see where their capabilities and what they can truly do and how they match up with some of the strongest heroes out there. But you're gonna have to wait until the next and final part to see what happens with a absolute amazing kind of sequence of training with the one and only Gang Orca. But if you guys enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I want to say this, I'm sorry that I've been so inconsistent, like super. This is like the worst I've been in a very long time. I'm sorry about that. A lot of things were happening, so it made it very difficult to record. I'm even getting this video out late because things kept popping up over and over again. But I'm trying my best. I want to get videos out to you. I have other channels I work with too, that are mine and I work on. And yeah, it's just a lot to do, but it's no excuse. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna try to get more content out to y'all. Probably gonna get some Demon Slayer pretty soon. I'm still gonna want to do some My Hero Academia depending on the circumstance. Maybe I'll throw in some Naruto. I do still want to bring back Shield Hero. I know I keep saying that, but things are gonna happen. Things are gonna work out. And yeah, I'm gonna try to get back to at least doing some content, you know, every day, or every week at least. I mean, ideally every day, right? That's what I want to do every day. But I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. I'm gonna try my best to keep up with the content, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed. Later.